everyone. Welcome to Hello Chaos, a weekly podcast exploring the messy and chaotic minds of founders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. We talk to founders from all different industries, different company stages, at all shapes and sizes. We hear the real, the raw, the unbiased founder stories, and it's why our mantra is where aha meets oh shit. We publish and push out new episodes every Sunday. So, really, just to get you ready for the week. HelloCast is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That's Orange Whip, WIP, for work in progress. Orange Whip is a multimedia company that is dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities through hyper-local media platforms that have been designed to inform, inspire, encourage, and create connections that help founders succeed. Orange Whip is an all-in-one content hub for founders with fresh and engaging stories, curated calendars, a local dynamic roadmap to help those founders navigate their local entrepreneurial ecosystem. We've done all the hard work for founders, so they only need to go to one trusted resource in their local market. So every city needs an Orange Whip. My name is Jennifer Sutton. My friends and family call me JJ. I'm the founder of Orange Whip and will be your host today. And we have Debbie Oster. Oster? Did I get which one? Oster?
It's Oster.
It's Oster. I was like, man, I had it right. Debbie Oster, you are the co-founder of Entrepreneur's Edge. So welcome, Debbie. Welcome to the chaos.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Well, start us out, Debbie. Just tell us, how did you jump into the entrepreneurial fray? What was your journey like?
My journey started, in marketing about 12 years ago. I was an email marketing manager. And over the years, I pretty quickly worked my way up into management positions and then director roles. And working with marketing agencies, I just kind of saw this need for, a firm or a consultant in the market that would help small business owners really to understand the ecosystem that is marketing, and really kind of act as like an advocate on their behalf when it came to getting their marketing going, ramping it up, and making sure that there was a strategy and a plan in place. So that's kind of where I decided to go out on my own and try to, meet that need in the market locally. And then it's kind of branched to nationally as well in the last year or so.
Because you're out of Florida, right?
Yes, I'm in Jupiter, Florida. So the East Coast, about an hour and a half north of Miami.
Okay. So, but now especially with post-pandemic, you're able to serve entrepreneurs everywhere. And it's so funny. I'm a marketing strategist and own a separate company called Break Marketing. And you're right. It is such a need for startups, entrepreneurs to really get that discipline, that outside perspective of I like how you said that, to navigate the what'd you say, the ecosystem of marketing, because a lot of people don't understand. Marketing is different from advertising and different from kind of communication. And it is, it can be really complex. And we talk to founders on the podcast here, and that's one of the biggest challenges for them is just, if they're truly a startup, what's their pitch? Like, what's their story? And they're like building that brand value. And then if they're already kind of trying to scale up, how to differentiate between what do they need to invest in marketing and operations, and what do they need to do for advertising to build? And it's confusing.
It's so confusing. And, the marketing landscape is ever changing, ever evolving, and there's all these trends, and you have everybody telling you need to jump on this and jump on that. And if you're not doing this, you're doing it wrong. And it's overwhelming. And, most business owners who don't have marketing experience, it just feels like extreme chaos for them when it comes to their marketing. And so I try to take or remove that chaos from their marketing for them.
Yeah. Bring that calm to chaos, right? So that's kind of what inspired you. How has the journey been? What's been your most challenging moments as you've been trying to build your own, like your build a brand, but also build your personal brand? Like, what has that been?
I would say there's probably two or three things that stand out to me as having been the most challenging, all related to marketing, of
Yeah.
course. But, really just kind of deciding, am I going to go all in on my personal brand? Am I going to brand my, company, have it separate from my personal brand? And that's just evolved over the last couple of years. And what I've come to find, and, I'm sure you've heard this and you probably believe it, but people want to work with people. They don't necessarily want to work with brands or companies, especially when it comes to service-based industries or businesses. So I've really kind of leaned into my own personal brand, thought leadership, just being an authoritative figure in the industry. And so far, that's really benefited myself, my business, and my brand ultimately.
So have you moved from being more of a solopreneur? Are you now, do you have a team with you that helps you, or what's your structure like now?
So it's primarily me. I'm the daily operator. I'm the client facing one. I'm doing all of the marketing, but I do have a business partner in the background who helps with the business strategy side of things. And also, I do have a small team of contractors that I've worked with for years. Through other businesses, and that's my team that helps with the execution side of things.
Gotcha. So what has surprised you the most of, okay, so you jumped into the entrepreneurial fray to start your own business to then serve other entrepreneurs and founders. What has been the most surprising moment for your business, but also what do you see? What are you seeing that has surprised you?
The first, I think what surprised me the most in the market was the lack of knowledge around the need for strategy.
Hmm.
I mean, I just assumed that every smart entrepreneur or business owner, somehow knew that you had to have a strategy in place.
Right.
But what I found is that 9 out of 10 times they're not even sure what constitutes a strategy. And so they definitely don't have one. And also they feel like it's this kind of like intangible thing or concept where that's not the truth at all. When it really comes down to it, if it's done well, I believe that a marketing strategy is very tangible and is composed of multiple components that you can see and that you
Right.
can put into action.
Right. So I've experienced the same thing, and it is surprising of how many people have started, and some companies are like they're already like 10 million. I mean, they're generating revenue, and they don't even have a business plan. I mean, like they never
Mhm.
sat down and really. They just had an idea, or I'm like, I've got these products. Or I need to get manufacturing, but not a true like strategy
Mhm.
of yeah, it's amazing.
And it is, you're right. And especially to your point, the ones that are actually seeing growth or, generating, revenue, it's like, imagine if they did have a concrete strategy with objectives and
Right,
clearly defined goals. Like, imagine where they'd be if they had that.
right. And you wonder, the stats are, oh, you probably know these better than I do, but what is it? 90% of startups fail within the first year or two. And I
Mhm.
think the majority of it's because there was not a solid strategy in place.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
Um, I
So
mean,
true.
it's like a high number. I think 90% might even be low of
It's
like
somewhere in the 90. I was thinking it was like 97%, but
how I'm yeah.
yeah,
I was like,
it's
I think
high.
my 90%'s low. So what's been the most rewarding part of starting your own business and working with other founders and entrepreneurs?
You know what? I think it's been just a learning process. My leadership skills, my just my professional and personal development has grown or seen so much growth in the last 2 years than I feel like I saw in all of the time before that, my entire life. You just have to learn things quick. You got to figure things out really quickly, because if you don't, to your point, you're going to fail. And this is, it's the lifeblood, it's your livelihood. So it's like, and there's two options. I succeed or I fail, and I have to go back to working for someone.
Yeah.
And I told myself I will never do that again. So I don't really have an option. I have to continually learn and figure things out, even when it's challenging or stressful. And it's really been rewarding.
Yeah. Do you think you could ever go and be an employee again?
No, I
Yeah.
don't. I always kind of felt like I was always a good employee and, a people pleaser. But, in the last 4 to 5 years of my career, working for agencies and such, I just realized that I didn't want to do it their way anymore. I wanted to do it my way. And so that's why I set out to start my own business.
Yeah. And it's working.
It's working so far. Yeah. I'm 2 years in.
So tell us like your biggest aha moments.
Biggest aha moments. I would say when it comes to positioning, I had a really big aha moment about 6 months ago or so. I've been in marketing for 12 years, and, positioning and messaging has always been something I've had to think about and figure out. But I've always had to do it for other businesses and or established businesses. And so I've learned that for both my own business and for my clients that are startups or newer, really nailing their positioning is like a make or break. Because if you don't nail it, then they're gonna get lost in the noise, right? They're not gonna be able to differentiate themselves clearly, or stand out in their market. So that's really been something that I've been honing in on and focusing on more with my clients as of the last 6 months or so.
That's so smart. I always say that to me, positioning and positioning strategy is truly like the secret sauce of building a really great brand, and it's the most overlooked part of the strategy.
Yep.
Like what I see, from other agencies or other marketers, it's like that skipped over. They focus on, let's look at audience, let's look at message, let's look at, your personality, but they forget about the positioning. So I'm so glad to hear you say that. I could not agree more. I'm going to ask it. So focusing on your own business, was that easier or harder to develop your own brand than it is to work on others?
So much harder. It's I'm sure this too, like just being so close to something, it's so much harder
You lose the perspective.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You really do. And I will say having a business partner has been really helpful with that. Because they're able to kind of pull me out of my own head and have, show it to me from different perspectives so that we could fine tune it and make it better. So, when it comes to entrepreneurs, if they don't have marketing help, like I highly recommend having some kind of a business strategist or mentor or outside perspective.
Some kind of coach, just to, because that was when I started. It was funny when I started Brightco 13 years ago, the marketing firm. I guess that was so much easier. Because I just came from, working with big agency, and I just kind of fell into it. But when I developed Orange Whip and Hello Chaos, those brands, we're almost 2 years in, year and a half in. So we're really a newbie startup. And I still have to, I don't necessarily second guess myself, but I'm always going, I have to have other people look in, because I've kind of lost the ability to look at things objectively.
It's very challenging.
But it was harder for this brand. And maybe it was because it's a product, not a service. I don't know. And it was different. But yeah, but just it being yours, that ownership. Ugh.
Yeah.
What do you think? Well, let me ask you. So if you could hit rewind, is there anything that you would do differently?
You know, I have to say no because everything that I've done, and whether it's been well or not done well, I've learned something from it. And the things that I learn in my own business are really helping me with my clients as well,
Yeah.
and helping them get clear and kind of guide them and advise them when it comes, when they start to question things or, so I'm a true believer in, you're not failing, you're learning a lesson,
Right.
and it's just going to help you for, the
Yeah.
next iteration of
That's
it.
right. Well, and I don't know if you found this. It also does it make you feel more empathetic, or you really like I feel like I know exactly what you're going through. Let's talk through
Mhm.
the issue because you can resonate with them, and so your counseling better because you feel it
Yes.
as a founder
Yeah.
yourself.
I mean, the
Like
thing
especially
is,
when it comes to like budget and
yeah,
spend, you're like, dude, I get it. Like I get
yeah,
it.
yeah. I've got a small marketing budget that I'm working with, so it's got to be efficient and effective, and I don't have time to waste or money to waste or resources to waste.
Right.
And so it does definitely make me empathize and with my clients, and the same things that are keeping them up at night are ultimately keeping me up at night for my own business.
Mm.
So I do think that that's really helped me connect with them on a different level than if, say, I were like a really large agency, or they were working with account managers as opposed to me. I mean, it's
Right.
really helped create strong client relationships for me.
Yeah. If if you look back into and I can tell from your personality, you were probably one of the shining stars in an agency, that
Yeah.
you got it. You kind of had that business sense and but do you look back and go, man, like it is so different to have this perspective that you have now, that if people in the agency world had that same perspective, how much better they would be to serve brands
Hmm.
and businesses? Do you
Yes. Yeah, you hit it on the head. And that's how I felt when I was working for an agency. I had, 22 plus accounts that I was managing all of their marketing, and
Ooh,
that's just not okay.
right,
No one can manage 22 accounts on their own. That it's not reasonable.
right,
And it was so frustrating. And like, I empathized with all these business owners I was speaking to because they were just frustrated because it was like, unless there was a fire, their account wasn't getting the attention that it needed and
right.
deserved, especially for what they were paying. And, that I really believe that that was one of the determining factors in me starting my own business. And I shy away from the word agency, although it's used and it's kind of a
Yeah.
necessity industry because that's what people know. But I'm really trying my best to build something that never makes someone feel that way that those business owners felt that I was working with
Yeah.
at times.
It's to show one that you care, but also I think there's a language that being founders, supporting other founders and other businesses,
Mm-hmm.
there's it's a shorthand
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, that you don't you don't see if somebody's working in house and marketing or in an agency environment. They're because it's just disconnected. They will never feel and resonate the pain points that you feel and about and what that founder is going through.
Yep. Yep, 100%. Yes, unless you've owned a business or you worked really closely with business owners and gotten to know them and their pain points and problems and the chaos that is running a business at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard, I think, for people to empathize with them and want to provide the level of service needed to meet their needs.
So do you just work with pure startups, or are you working with like what type of entrepreneurs? And it's so funny. I want to get your perspective too. When we talk to, because Hello Chaos is a podcast. We talk to founders every week and entrepreneurs, but we also have we're in 3 cities in South Carolina and have these digital platforms where we also feature local founders in those markets.
Mhm.
And when we launched those digital publications last year, there were some founders that were like that. That's why I'm saying founders, because some said, I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't see myself as an entrepreneur, or they called themselves, I'm an accidental entrepreneur, or I don't know. They had all these like strange, and then some people are like wear entrepreneur on like as a badge of honor.
Mhm.
So I want to get your like, what type, when you think of entrepreneurs, um, that you want to start, like what is, who are you targeting? Who is that ideal customer? And do you get that same, I want to call it the bipolarism when it comes to that word? Like
Yeah.
people either love it or they hate it. It's so,
Mhm.
that to me has been like a surprising aha moment in the journey of dedicating a media company for founders and entrepreneurs, because we thought we would just go entrepreneur and have it, but we're like, oh, we've got to add the word founder because some people don't like that word.
Right. Right. It's funny you say that because that's something I've kind of wrestled with a few times in the, history of my firm is, the name. And maybe you want to call it a oh shit moment, or
Yeah.
not, but one, my email is ridiculously long because of the name of my business. So that was an oh shit moment. But when people are like, what's your email? I'm like, I'll just send you an email.
Yeah.
Because most
You're
people
like,
don't even
I need to get like EE. Yeah, because that's the thing. There's no shorthand for
Mm-mm.
entrepreneur. We were laughing about it. It's like our team of like, how do you write the notes? Is it ENTP? Is it E dash P? Like
Right.
everyone has this weird shorthand, but it's
Mhm.
all personal. So it wouldn't resonate with anybody else. But yeah.
Right,
Uh,
right.
so okay. So long email.
Long email, and then the name is could be not as attractive to your point to people who don't necessarily consider themselves business owners. And I'd say I probably have like a 50-50 blend of clients. Some of them fell into their business, or it was kind of like a family hand me down.
Oh yeah.
And so their business, they consider themselves to be a business owner.
Right.
Um, and then there are the entrepreneurs, or the founders with those entrepreneurial spirits that this is their second or third endeavor, and or this is just kind of the stepping stone to the next big thing they're going to do.
Right.
um, so it really is a split for me, and I get along with both. I think that I can I understand both perspectives. And
Mhm.
because to me, being a business owner and like being the owner and operator feels kind of like that. There are things that I have to do day to day that make me feel like a business owner, and then there are things that I have to do day to day that make me feel like an entrepreneur. And if I
Right.
don't do those things, I'll never get my business to where I want it to be. And
Right.
that's kind of like the difference between those two things for me.
And to get business owners to also kind of get that, I don't know, that spirit, that culture, because that will help. Because a lot of times that's the difference of getting their business to scale and grow is
Mm.
really more of that. It's that growth mindset
Yep.
and having kind of that entrepreneurial grit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so what other oh shit moments have you had? Where have you
Um,
banged your head up against the wall?
oh, I've got a good one. uh, Pretty early on, we decided, we're going to launch this program. It's going to be kind of a mix of like do it with you marketing, and it's going to be for the business owners that are in that 100K to 300K range, can't quite afford
Mhm.
to hire an agency or a fractional CMO. Yes, and we're going to do this. And so we put it all together. We launched it. Cricket. And
Oh,
I'm like racking my brain, and I'm like, the marketing is good. I know the messaging is good. And then I was like, we have a really small audience right now, like 300 followers on Instagram and 200 followers on LinkedIn and, whatever it was, and like 25 people on our email list. And I'm like, the percentage of people that, one, are going to see what we're putting out there,
Right.
and two, that it's going to actually resonate with, is so tiny. Like, we just wasted all this time and effort. It was just one of those things, again, where I was so too close to it. I
Yeah.
couldn't step back and see, like, wait a second, this
Yeah.
isn't going to work.
How do we build this? Like, build the
Yep.
audience. Is that
Yep.
what you did, or did you say, let's scrap this for a second? Or did you go, nope, everything, the packaging is all good. We just need to build the audience for it.
That was the next step. It was, this is great, but we're not ready for it. We need a bigger audience. So step number one, back it up. Step number one is, let's build the audience. And I've been doing that ever since. And, my audience is much larger now, a year and a half later, but at this point, I don't even want to offer that anymore. That was
Yeah.
kind of like a means to an end, and it turns out, it didn't work out well, and I don't need it. So
Yeah. Well, and also, do you find, especially with who you're working with, if you give it to them to do it yourself, will they really?
No.
No. Because that's what we've, like, I feel like they might say they want it, but they really need somebody that kind of walks with them.
Yeah, they do. And not, I don't like to use the word accountable so much, because I'm not a coach. But you're right. It's, unless they have somebody to, like, keep things on track and strategize and plan and make sure it's
Right.
actually executed consistently, it most likely will not
Right.
get done, or not for very long.
Or just to make sure that, one, the things are being done, but also when they have, like, they get stuck. So how do you how do you get them unstuck?
Yeah.
And I think that they just, it's not, and I don't want to say hand holding, but it's just, it's more of, you're there to help discipline, be the navigator.
Yes. Yep. The navigator. Exactly.
If you could change 2 things about your business today, whether looking back or looking forward, what would those 2 things be, and why?
2 things. Let's see. I think, like I already mentioned, probably the name, just to make it easier.
What would you have named it? Did you have other names in mind?
No, I don't. That one stood out so clearly. But in full transparency, when I started the firm with my, there were 2 partners at the time. We were planning to build a firm that was going to be sort of a comprehensive business consulting firm. So we were going to do business strategy, operations, kind of like an EOS meets, marketing strategy.
Yeah.
And then over time, it just evolved into, hey, Debbie's thing is marketing, and let's just stick with that one thing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's where Entrepreneur's Edge was originally born. And so it made sense then, and it still does, because without great marketing, you're not going to get the edge over your competitors.
That's right.
So it fits, but it's just long, and it's not super point blank, like, straightforward what I do, until I get to talk to somebody or they see my website.
Gotcha. Okay, so what's the other thing?
The second thing I would change, probably I would have started doing some of the marketing that I'm really active with now 2 years ago, because if I had the compounding effects, I would be so much further along in my business when it comes to revenue. And it took a while to figure out, like, okay, you've got to do what you tell people to do.
Yeah. Well, like what? What would you be doing differently?
So I'm really active on LinkedIn, and I'm really active in my community with networking, local community, but also online community with other fractional executives and marketing people. And that has created really great partnerships, strategic partnerships that have led to some of my best clients, and in the form of referrals.
Perfect.
And if I had just started those conversations sooner, I would be seeing so many more, because they're
Yeah.
like, it takes a good, from my experience, it takes at least about a year of consistent conversations with people
Yes.
to start generating like those or seeing those referrals, from word of mouth and from other partners.
That's right. It's it's a beast of a sales path, isn't
It
it?
is. It is.
Um, as a founder, where do you think you personally have struggled the most?
I think I've struggled the most with being the person that's doing it all. The strategy, the plan. I was at one point, I was doing all of the execution side of things. I'm essentially the client relationship manager, account manager, project manager. That has been a struggle for me because, from my agency experience, to me, my service, client service comes first and
Right.
foremost. I'm answering your emails within a couple hours. I'm, making sure whatever I tell you is going to get done is getting done in a quick and efficient manner. And that has caused issues when it comes to me working on my business versus in it. And so
Mm,
that's been a really challenging, like trying to get that balance has been
it is.
challenging for me.
That's the biggest shift. It really is of the how do you start working on your business and not in your business? It's the one biggest
Mhm.
struggle. It's the that we
And,
hear.
and yeah, it is. And then you try to tell a business owner that and they kind of get it, but they don't really get it until they see what happens when you start doing it.
Right,
So like now that I do make time, dedicated time to work on my business, I'm seeing a world of difference in not only the clients that are coming to me, but just my working relationships.
right.
And it's all been beneficial. It was just really hard to like kind of switch the way my mind was thinking about those things.
Right, and that's what we hear the most. It's a mindset shift. I mean, yes, there's some tangible, actionable things that you can set up, but it is a complete mindset of of we call it the CEO mindset of
Mhm.
shifting from being the doer to being I guess, the operator, the owner, the person that's running, overseeing things.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so just curious, so what keeps you up at night? Because you had said that a lot of times you hear what founders stress and you feel that pain too. So what does keep you up at night?
I would say, um, my clients' problems keep me up at night.
Mm,
If I'm aware that, someone's revenue is not where they need it to be or want it to be yet, or they don't have the budget for us to get something done in the way we want it done. I mean, those are the things that I'm thinking about when I can't sleep at night,
yeah.
which I'm a poor sleeper, so it's pretty often. But I'm just laying there like, well, maybe we could
Oh,
do it this way, or
the brain never shuts off and the problem solving.
right,
Oh,
right. I emailed a client at like 3 a.m. the other day, and she texted me at like 8, and she was like, "You were up early today."
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
can't help it
You're like,
sometimes.
I had to get it off. I had to get it off my
I
chest.
did. I had to go somewhere. It couldn't stay in my head.
Okay, so what gets you out of bed in the morning?
Uh, the excitement of knowing that, I get to dictate my day, my week, my life, basically. I feel like when I made the switch to, be a business owner from an employee, it's just opened up so many things for me. Like I just look at life and business and finances, and I look at everything differently now.
Mm,
I think if the best way to describe it was like high agency. So, when I was an employee, I just kind of felt like things were just happening. Like,
right,
oh, my job sucks because my boss is a jerk, or I don't make enough money and it's not fair. I deserve to make this much money. And then
right,
I got to this point and I'm like, if I want to do that, I need to go do it myself because I can't expect anybody to hand it to me or give me what I think I deserve.
right.
Um, so that's been a really big thing for me. Yeah, big
Yeah.
change.
And we had talked to other too. It's also you look at finances different. Um, you think of money and time differently.
Mhm.
Like, and
Mhm.
the correlation of those two, I would say those were some of my bigger aha moments of, yeah, I had that sense, working in but not because, agencies, we're all about billable time, but
Mhm.
not until it was like, oh, you know what? I can't afford to get a lawn maintenance person, because if I do that, or if my husband does that, like, our time is better spent somewhere else. We make more revenue if our
Mhm.
time and our energy is spent here. We can't afford
Yeah.
somebody at, $15 an hour, $20 an hour, because we got a bill out at 200.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
It's so true. That's a really good point. Money and time, you start to look at them very differently when you
yeah.
own your own business.
Um, Are there any routines or disciplines that you do personally to help you stay focused or to help you achieve your goals?
Yeah, and probably not much different from what you've already heard, but I'm religious about I get up and I work out. It's the
Mm.
first thing I do. It energizes me for the day. It gets my mind clear. It helps relieve stress and anxiety. And then I try to eat really healthy about 80% of the time. Um,
You gotta give yourself the freedom to
yeah, yeah. Well, that's you also have to know when you need time to rest or relax and not, harp on yourself for not doing those things.
Yeah,
I believe in that too. I just know for myself personally, like I need to sweat it out 30 to 45 minutes a day if I want to like feel focused
right.
on
Do
my
you
day.
go do you go to a gym and go to
Yeah.
like okay, versus do you just go into the room next door and have at it?
Yeah, I'm not disciplined enough to do it on my own. I'll kind of like half-ass it if I do that. So I go to a gym in my community that I love. And if I can't get there for some reason one day, or I just feel like sleeping in a little, I just go for a walk if I can and listen to an
Yeah,
audiobook or go for a bike ride, like just to move my body
just
because it helps me with my mental clarity.
yeah. So, what else do you do in your free time?
Hobbies. I love to
Yeah.
cook. I love it. I actually dabbled in my own little home baking business during COVID.
Uh,
Uh, yeah. So there's that. I actually ride a Harley Davidson motorcycle.
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I do that a lot. My husband rides as well. And, that's usually what we're doing. That's definitely what we'll be doing this weekend with the nice weather we're having here.
Yeah,
So,
are you involved in I mean, I know that Harley Davidson that is a community all in itself.
mhm.
Are you pretty tight with a group of riders, and
Yeah,
do
I
you guys
actually
like ride together in groups?
I about a year and a half ago, I founded a women's motorcycle group in our
So
community.
smart.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
met some really amazing, wonderful women that I would have never met otherwise. And you'd be surprised at how many of us there are riding around here. And Florida's not the best for riding because of the traffic and the super flat, non-changing scenery. But
Yeah, you need to come up to South
but yeah,
Carolina, tour the hills.
yes, I mean, we go to Georgia and the Carolinas pretty regularly. I'd say at least once or twice a year to ride. It's beautiful up there.
Uh, um, oh, that's wonderful. I'd love to hear that. What would you like if you had to go, what does your company look like a year from now? What would you like it to look like? Whether it's growing your team, number of clients, like what do you go, you know what, I would be just thrilled if my company looked like X.
I would be thrilled if in 1 year I had 3 to 4 partners in the way of the service offering the services that I feel necessary for a marketing ecosystem.
Mm.
3 or 4 partners that could help with the execution side of thing, and that I felt so confident in their services and abilities that I was able to kind of step back a little from the day to day client.
The
Uh,
oversight.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
And so I could focus more on the marketing of our brand and of EE of Entrepreneur's Edge, and being a thought leader in our industry. That's the ideal for me in the next year.
All right. See, we're going to manifest that. We put it
Yes.
out in the world.
Yeah. I'm talking to potential partners almost daily.
So,
Once
so
I find them,
would you go back to the model that would you originally thought of, like, I'm assuming that ecosystem of you needed an operations person or a sales person, maybe a IT, IO, or are you really looking at more of the marketing infrastructure of, like, communications, public relations, like when you say kind of those partners?
that's what I'm looking for. I
Okay.
want ideally to have, a partner for social media, partner for
Okay.
SEO, partner for advertising, paid advertising, so that I can focus on, again, bringing in, new prospects and clients to our business, but also the strategy side of things, and then kind of like share that information with all of the various partners,
And go
based on the
execute it. Yeah.
hmm Exactly. I may not have to like feel like I'm hand holding or micromanaging. When I say partners, I think of, like I said, very capable, expert, professional people in our industry that do what they do really well. Because
Yeah.
I know there's no one person that can do it all really well from what I've experienced.
No, there is not. No. And I tell business owners and founder, I'm like, well, I'm going to hire this one like magic marketing person. I'm like, that person doesn't, like, if you expect somebody to be a PR person, photographer, videographer, digital marketer, and digital marketer is so like,
Oh, yeah.
do you want, they're going to manage your website and be your email marketing. They're going to build lists and do your social. No,
hmm
that person does not exist. Or they do one or two of those things, maybe three, very, very well, but that's
Yep.
like,
That's it.
that's it. So yeah, I'm like, that doesn't exist out there. If so, we would be like, that would be what we would fill our companies with.
Right. Right. And you'd probably have to pay that person $200K a year
Yeah,
to have all those
minimum,
competencies.
minimum.
Yeah, minimum,
Right.
exactly.
I mean, you look at like what a CMO, an average CMO is, minimum of 150 for a small company. They're making 350, 500 for, larger brands,
Mhm.
and they're just playing oversight. They're
Right.
not the doers.
Right. Exactly.
Um, so, okay, so this is my fun question. So, what would our listeners be surprised to learn about you? That's like not on your resume or anything. Like the Harley Davidson thing's pretty cool.
Yeah, I kind of
That's
should have
already
saved
cool.
that one.
That was pretty cool. And the fact that you were a baker, I do want to explore that a little bit.
Yeah.
So
What was
what kind of baking company did you try to start during COVID?
Well, it was actually called Debbie Does Delicious.
Oh,
After so many years of being asked the question about, Debbie Does Dallas.
yeah.
Just like, I'm just gonna play on this.
That's right. That's right. Own it. Own
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But no, I mean, I've been baking since I was a child. I've always loved it, and during COVID, I was at home because we were stuck here. And
Yeah.
so I just started baking, and I developed a recipe for cupcakes that I found people were like crazy for.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, my friends, all of our friends in our community, they all have children, and to this date, they all ask me to make cupcakes for their kids' birthdays. Their children don't even want other cupcakes; they only want Dee Dee's cupcakes. So, yeah, it's still a thing I do as like a side, fun thing. But it actually was going well during COVID, and then I just got to a point to where I realized that this is kind of fun now as a little hobby, but I don't want to bake dozens of cupcakes a day for a living.
For the rest of your
No,
life.
no. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of manual work. And yeah, I missed the marketing side of things.
Yeah. Okay, so what kind of flavor cupcakes were they?
Oh, every flavor. So my
Okay.
specialty is you tell me what your favorite dessert is, whatever it is in the world, and I can make you a
Ah.
cupcake version of it.
Ah,
Yeah, so like this time of year, pumpkin cupcakes with cream
pumpkin
cheese
spice. Gotta
frosting.
have the pumpkin spice.
Yep, yep. And I also used to love to bake with craft beer as well because they always have fun flavors. So I would put those in
Ooh,
my cupcakes also.
Debbie does delicious. You need to, did you trademark that? Because you should have.
I did start a blog, like a little mini blog on Instagram. It's actually still there. I just am not super active on it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
You could be an influencer with those lovely cooking videos and that I get completely addicted watching
Mm-hmm.
people bake. It's
Yep.
so therapeutic. That's like, and then I fall asleep to it. Uh,
Yeah.
so what else would we anything else we'd be surprised to learn about you?
I didn't think this was surprising, but people, when they find out, seem to think it is that I was actually a bartender for 10 years of my life.
Nice.
Yeah, all throughout my, 19 to whatever, 28, whatever it was that I started my marketing career. But, people are surprised by that for some reason. And
That's why you're in service.
yeah, well, that's what I attribute my success to in my entire career is
Mhm.
just being able to communicate really well with people and yeah, and be able to provide the service or the level of service that they expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just been
I
and
th
just talking to people in general. It's just helped me so much in my relationships professionally and personally.
yeah. I have said that. I told my children that I'm like because I worked in um not quick serve. I did family. I did fine dining. I was a bartender. I mean, I did 10 years. I like from 16 till I was 26, 27.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's but to be able to wait tables, predict, kind of monitor, it does and multitask your
Mm,
brain, and then just to keep eye on somebody. It's a great training ground for anybody that wants to be in service. um whenever I would hire account people, if they had food service, or waiting to or bartender, anything, I knew if they could last several years in that, then
they could do it.
they could do it. they
Yeah.
there's an innate ability that you learn
Mm-hmm.
in that environment.
Right. You brought it up earlier when talking about being empathetic. I mean, serving people in that industry for 10 plus years really taught me to like gauge, okay, where is this person in the, are they frustrated? Is their food taking too long? Do I
Right.
need to get a manager and stay on top of it? Like, it really helped me to like learn that kind of, the nuances of working with people, serving them, like you said.
Yeah,
So yeah, I agree with you 100%. I feel like most people should have to do it at some point in their
I
life.
know. Everyone needs to wait a table.
Mm-hmm.
Wait some
Yep.
tables.
Yep.
Okay, so do you have a favorite cocktail genre, like liquor that are you beer, wine, cocktail person? Where's your fave?
All
Like,
the
where do you
above.
go? I know. I was
No.
like, it depends on my mood.
Yeah, well, it does depend on my mood or the setting or the meal in front of me. But I'm really big on. Well, I'm a wine connoisseur. I love wine. I studied it. I thought I might want to be a somm uh,
Uh,
many years ago. So yeah, wine is my go-to. But I also love craft beer, and I enjoy a good old-fashioned, or Manhattan on occasion as well.
oh my goodness, Debbie, we're like twinsies. Like amazing. Yeah, because that's exactly how I would have answered it if somebody, because
Really?
old fashioned is my drink. It's my
Oh yeah.
go-to.
Yep.
Um, okay, so what's your bourbon go-to?
I always have a bottle of Woodford in my cabinet.
That's what,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
yep,
my favorite distillery. If
yeah.
you've never gone,
I haven't.
um, that's what you need to do you guys need to do the bourbon trail because they have one that's for bikers.
Oh, really?
Go to the Kentucky Tourism.
Okay.
Um, yeah, you can they have mapped out the Bourbon Trail that's for, like, if you go by car, here's one. If you there's, tour buses. If you're literally, like, bicycling, they
Mm-hmm.
have, like, the tours, but they have them for bikers of, like, where, what's close by, what are the best routes. They have them
Okay.
all mapped out. Yep.
Oh, wow. That's good to know. To check.
But it's beautiful. Like the Woodford, Four Roses, they're really close to each other. Then you've got Bullitt's not that far. It's all there. But it's beautiful backcountry between Louisville, Lexington, and going down to, like, Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. Like, the most beautiful countryside to
Oh, that's
ride.
amazing. I'm gonna have to check it out
You
because the
will.
two you just mentioned, I have four roses in my cabinet as
Yeah.
well, and
Yeah.
bullets to go too.
But so we've done the bourbon trails. I'm from Indiana, Kentucky area.
Okay.
My dad's side of the family grew up in Kentucky, so my family's all tobacco farmers up and down that strip of Louisville, Lexington area. So we've been on the tour several times. Um, but Woodford Distillery is just beyond beautiful.
Oh.
Just like, it's one of the oldest distilleries. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's the landscape is beautiful, and then you've got, like, Willett and kind of further up towards Louisville area. You've got Willett and, like, three or four other. I can't remember, but they're all kind of right there next
Mhm.
to each other. All beautiful. But the Willett one has one of the best restaurants.
Ooh.
Like, they got all their plant slappers, cocktail bartender,
Yep.
all fancy, like, but it's some of the best. I mean, it's one of the best restaurants within the distilleries. And then I'm gonna give a shout out, like, Bullet. Their distillery is more modern.
Okay.
Um, it is. So, from a marketing person and a branding person, you would be. I'm like, I loved it for the wall graphics that they
Mhm.
did through the stairs, the floor graphics that they had that told the story as you walk through their building. So it was really more this immersive
Mhm.
brand experience. And then their tasting is a 3 or 4 senses tasting. So they play music, they have lighting that changes as you're doing, like, the 4, and then you have a scent that when you drink, then they give you these, like, scent cubes, and then
Okay.
you smell it, and then you take another taste, and it completely transforms the taste.
Oh, that's so
Um, so it's just so different from all the other distilleries because it is more modern,
Mhm.
but it's beautiful, beautiful tour. Uh, but I'd recommend it. You guys would have so much fun on Harleys going up and down that
Oh, we
countryside. You
yeah,
guys
my
would have a
husband does
good
it
time.
too. Yeah, I'm sure we'll do it. It'll be on the list because we do, like I said, we go up there regularly. So,
Yeah,
yeah, thanks for the tips.
you are welcome. Yeah, stay at some bed and breakfast. They're good.
Yeah.
All right. So, because my last question, we're marketers, we love media. So, what 3 things are you either watching, reading, or listening to? Now, you can say, I'm watching 3 things, or you can, or listening to 3 things, or reading 3 things, or one of each. I don't care. But
Got it.
what are you consuming right now?
Consuming. So the audiobook that I'm listening to at the moment is Key Person of Influence.
Hmm,
So that is, basically just how to stand out in your industry. Um, and I think I would highly recommend it to anyone who's, striving to be a thought leader
mhm.
or, an authority in their industry because it's been really insightful so far.
And it's called what?
Key Person of Influence.
Key person of influence. All
Hmm.
right.
Yep, they call them KPIs in the book.
Oh,
Yeah, which I love.
that's great.
Yeah. And then I am also reading a physical book called Still Alice about a professor of psychology who actually is diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's
Mhm.
at about 50. So I'm into that right now.
It's a good book.
You've read
I've
it?
read it. It's a
Oh,
good book.
good. Yeah, a friend
Yeah,
recommended it. So I'm really, my mother passed away of dementia about a year ago. So my friend said that that was something I had to read and it would be really,
yeah,
just a great book, she said.
yeah. It's a great read.
Good,
Um,
good. I'll keep up with that one.
so any other, are you into any TV shows or anything? Are
Yeah,
you-
so we are gearing up for the second part of Yellowstone,
Mm.
season 5, second part. So we're rewatching all of
Oh,
the previous seasons because
that's
we
such
know
a
that,
glorious.
oh,
It is so well done.
it's
Like
awesome.
it it is so I'm now into season 2.
Mhm,
So because I keep wanna go back and what because I just love the cinematography. I mean,
mhm,
it is and I mean, I'm like so bummed that Kevin Costner, whatever reason, he had to,
mhm.
bail out and stuff to kind of bummed that they're gonna end it, but I hope it sounds like they're gonna was it do a new revival or whatever, branch off of that with Matthew McConaughey, is
I
that right?
know. Yep, yep, I read
Um,
it
but
too.
I'm curious of because I know enough about it. I know kind of where we are in the where the story goes, but is it like what's Matthew's character gonna be? Do you think he's gonna
That
be the love interest of the daughter? Like, is this like I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. Honestly, because
Like,
of all the other spin-offs that they have, like 1923 and 1883, I just don't know what to expect. And I've read a couple of articles on it, but they're teasers at best.
yeah,
They don't really give
they've
you
been really
anything.
quiet about it, and I've only seen trailers and stuff of the other spinoffs. The one, with Harrison Ford and
Mhm.
Is it Helen Mirren
Yeah,
that's
it
in
is.
it?
Mhm.
And that looks equally like whoever is the cinematographer, the lighting crew, I mean, it is costume. I mean, it is one of
Mhm.
the best, most beautiful franchise,
Mhm.
that's been out I mean, it's like Stranger Things was wonderful and
Yep.
so immersive in the '80s, they didn't leave any detail out. I feel
Yep.
like Yellowstone and they're like have done that equally, but
Mhm.
made you like wanna move to Montana.
Yeah,
I
I
mean
mean, we went to Montana and Wyoming for vacation at like mid, season 2 or something. We were just in awe of the landscape and we're
uh,
like, we got to go visit this place.
that's right. It's so beautiful.
It is it's so vast and like grand, as compared to anything else I've seen in our country anyway.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mhm.
Is that the only thing? Is that like where you your TV junkie goes is the Yellowstone?
I mean, I like last night, for instance, I was watching Love Actually. So I'm
Oh,
around this time of year, I'm
it's
really
the
big into
Christmas
these movies.
movies.
Yeah, Vegas Vacation, Christmas Vacation. We've been watching
It's
all those. I'm yeah, really in the spirit this season.
Well, that's fantastic. So how do you want people to get a hold of you? Is there any other lasting advice or anything that you wanna to tell our listeners and our viewers out there?
Yeah, the one thing that I always am trying to tell my clients or my audience is, marketing truly is a system, and you have to have, multiple factors in place. It's not like a one thing that's going to make you rich approach. It's, you've got to put the system and the core elements in place, and over time they will start working together like an ecosystem, as I mentioned, and it will have a compounding effect. But in order to, see that effect, you've got to start somewhere and just start layering in as go and be consistent with it. And yeah, just keep at it. It's not always gonna create, super quick wins for you, but long term, it will help grow your business.
Yeah,
Um, that's the I think the best advice I can give
you
any small
you
business
nailed it. So how do people get a hold of you, Debbie? How do you want people to reach out to you?
I would love if you're on LinkedIn, connect with me on there and follow. I'm really active on that platform. And then, I'm also on the other channels like Instagram and Facebook, but LinkedIn is my go-to. And then, my website is entrepreneursedge.biz. So feel free to visit that. And you can email me at debbie@entrepreneursedge.biz as well if you're interested in connecting further.
Perfect. Well, thank you for coming on here and sharing your story and giving such great advice. And I love the conversation. I do feel like we're sisters from another mother. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
too much in
thank
common.
you. It was
And I
so
say
nice.
I say this every time that I cannot believe we're already out of time. These things go by so fast, but I did enjoy the conversation, and I thank you for hanging out with us, and for everyone listening or watching. Thank you for joining us. Again, this podcast will be published this coming Sunday and available on all podcast platforms. My favorite is Apple and Spotify, so go find us there. Subscribe to Hello Chaos, like, share, and grow. Like, share, and comment to help us grow a more connective entrepreneur community. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That's Orange Whip, WIP. We are a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities. We are 100% free. Just an email to join the community. One-stop content hub just for founders. And then we send a nice little weekly Sunday email that gives the people in our local markets the heads up of where they need to, events they need to go to, what resources they need to check out, and what podcasts they should listen to. We're in 3 areas of South Carolina: the upstate, which is Greenville area, Midlands, the Columbia area, and the Low Country, Charleston area, with our goal to expand to be in 30 markets in 5 years. Check out the new edition we just dropped this week. It is on planning for growth. The importance of strategy. That was, and the photography that we've done for the 3 platforms is stunning, but the founder stories are equally as interesting and great advice. So go and subscribe, support us, find your city and enjoy. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast or support us, send us an email at hello@orangewhip.com. Y'all, thank you for tuning in to Hello Chaos. It is where AHA meets oh shit. And I'm your host, Jennifer Sutton, aka JJ. We'll see you again next week.